Go. Yay, live.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Valhalla Hour bi-week edition. I am your host, Sir SoCal. Rob is on one final drill before he retires next month. With me, as always, we got Matthew
Hello.
and we got Southern Skull. First, we want to extend our well wishes to everyone in Florida after this devastating hurricane. Southern Skull, let's just get a recap. How's everything going down there?
Um, not too bad. My work is completely flooded. Although I
Oof.
work on an island, so um, at a state park that's an island. So, and the river's not even supposed to crest for another 7 days, 6 days. So it should get
Jeez.
pretty bad. There's still quite a few people without power. My fiance, her house is one of them. Um, can't find non-ethanol gas anywhere. Propane's even getting hard to come by. Our generator runs on both, so it's a struggle, but it's nothing terrible. Where I live, I'm more on the west coast, or the east coast, so we didn't get the brunt of it. A lot of heavy winds, a lot of rain, lots and lots and lots of rain. But I mean, we're all good. We're all safe. Everybody I know is safe, so it's a good day.
That's good. Good, good.
If you guys haven't seen any of the pictures, there is one defining picture from this storm that you guys should check out. The Tampa Bay Rays baseball stadium
Roof.
is pretty much what happened to the Metrodome.
Right.
So, all of our wishes from Valhalla Hour go down to every one of those affected. It's not a pretty sight. But, well, it's our bye week. Let's start off with the best part, the recap of the London game. This is our first time back in London in a couple years where we beat the Saints on that trip on a double doink, and this time it was an interception. We continue our undefeated streak in London. Southern Skull, let's go to you. What was some of the things that stood out to you?
The biggest thing that stood out is the lack of offensive production when Jones was out. I I didn't think that just going to Ty Chandler would be that big of a drop off, but man, it was like they didn't even worry about our running game once Jones wasn't healthy. So that scared me.
Okay. Matthew, what was something that really stood out to you?
Like he said, the lack of rushing efficiency, but I think part of it too is that sack on Darnold. I think that really kind of racked his ribs a little bit, and the left side of the O line was uncharacteristically pretty porous. And there's the whole like, well, Darnold sees ghosts. Kirk had a lot of that to him too. So I think mixed with him not being able to trust his blind side, with his ribs hurting, it's London. The Jets are a really good pass defense. Our offense just was not able to click. I'm not super worried about it. The Jets have the number 2 yards defense in the NFL. Their passing defense is insane. I'm glad we have the bye week now, so that way we can get Jones healthy. We can get Hawkinson back next week. Hopefully, we can get Darnold's ribs healed. This 2 week break is going to be much, much needed.
One thing that really did stand out to me, our defense has been more than just firing on all cylinders. We had one offensive touchdown the entire game. Everything else is dollar dollar bill, will the thrill.
Right.
And I'm hating to say this, but it looks like maybe our kicking woes have been solved. He has not missed a single kick this year.
Knock it on wood.
Greg Joseph,
Um,
yeah.
I almost want him to go out there next week like with a 14-point lead and shank one. Just like 30 feet to the left, just miss terrible, just to get it out of his system. Like just awful. Just one that looks like just terrible. Just so it's out of his system, we don't got to worry about the rest of the year.
Remind me
I'm
to stay
afraid.
away from Vikings Twitter if that happens.
Right.
I'm afraid he might pull like Gary Anderson if we get to the
That's
playoffs.
it. That's it. Get it out of the system now, and we're good for the rest of the season.
Right.
After what happened to Aaron Jones, we took a massive nosedive on offensive production on the ground. Big time. And we have to keep working on our running game, even if Aaron Jones can't go next week. Because from what I understand, he's week to week with a hip injury, but they didn't disclose what type of hip injury it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, is it something like, was it a hip flexor or is it like something even worse? That's the thing I'm a little bit worried about. Yes, we did get the win. Sam Darnold did get, bit beaten up, but who cares?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of it, Robert Saleh got fired.
Right.
I think that might be the huge takeaway from this week is that in his last game with the Jets, he just choked it. Well, not himself.
Yeah, I'm not putting that on Saleh at all. I think his firing was a massive mistake. They fired the wrong guy.
Really? You think so?
That works in our benefit, that if with the way Flores is coaching, if he gets a job offer, I'd bring Saleh in to replace him.
100%.
I mean,
the only thing that was working for the Jets was their defense.
Yeah, I think that had more to do with Rodgers being a whiny bitch. I hate
100%.
to say it, but that's exactly
like. I mean, they've already come out and said that the owner of the Jets called Aaron Rodgers 12 hours before the coach was fired. Rodgers is like, well, I can't get rid of Hackett. Hackett's my guy. The offense can't score touchdowns. The defense is top 3 in the NFL, but fire the good guy who's good at defense and keep the horrible offense. That makes a lot of sense. And then they stripped God, I just said his name, I forgot, but they stripped the offensive coordinator of play calling, but they fired the head coach. I don't know.
Yeah, Hackett got demoted.
Yeah.
They demoted Hackett and fired someone. Like,
that defense is going to take a nosedive.
If you're doing this now, then you've pretty much thrown in the towel on this season, the entire team. And before this, I heard people say, they should get, Devontae Adams to pretty much reunite the Packers in New York. Now he's not wanting to go there.
Well, didn't he leave Green Bay to get away from Aaron Rodgers? They offered him $30 million a year to stay, and he's like, "No, I want to go play with Derek Carr." Like, who leaves Aaron Rodgers to play with Derek Carr unless you don't want to play with Aaron Rodgers?
Well, now I'm sure he's probably saying maybe I shouldn't have left.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's not a good situation going on for both New York teams. The Giants are kind of looking messy. Dable's on the hot seat. The Jets just fired Sal. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's going to get paid just to sit on the couch at home. Let me see. No, Jay, it was not because of the Lebanese flag. 20-36 as a head coach. Woody Johnson, the owner of the Jets, wanted some change, and I think it was definitely time for them to move on. It was. It's definitely time, but
he's been wearing that flag since last season. It's not the flag.
If it would have been, then it should have been last year or at the end of last year,
right?
Something, but it was just the performance.
Yeah.
Now I'm, from what I understand, the GM was not looped in on it. However, I'm 50-50 on it because yes, it should have been the GM also have been looped in.
Well, I just saw too. Le'Veon Bell came out talking about the Jets organization, like all the way to the top again, like 2 weeks ago, about how, dude, he was glad Like he hated it. The coaches were confusing Darnold. The management wasn't backing Darnold. Like he said, it was awful just being there back then. And I don't think the ownership and the upper management have gotten any better in the last 20 years. Like that organization has just been, there's 4 teams in the AFC East and they are ranked 5th in division titles.
Yeah.
Because, like that's sad. There's a team that's no longer in your division and they still have more division titles than you. Like,
yeah.
You're in shambles.
I looked this up. The last time, I'm going to give this a little trivia question for everybody. This is the Valhalla Hour trivia question for the week. Can you name the head coach the last time the Jets not only made, but won a postseason game? And it should be obvious who it is.
Oh, Bill Parcells.
No.
No? After him?
I'll give you one hint. He's a current ESPN personality.
Stephen A. Smith.
No, he's on the Cowboys.
Oh, that's right.
Not Belichick.
I couldn't tell you.
He wasn't there long enough, was he? Rex Ryan. Oh, God.
Oh,
seriously?
2011.
Sanchez?
Wow.
Yeah, it was. Mr. Rex Ryan.
Was that butt fumble year?
Yeah, I believe so. No, I think no. It was before that. 2011. They had made the AFC Championship against Pittsburgh, and ironically, that was the year Aaron Rodgers won his only Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, just look at how the Jets did it to Saleh too. Like they didn't inform him. He got to the facility. They escorted him out with security. Didn't let him address the team. Didn't even give him an explanation of why he was being let go. Like, that's just a horribly run organization.
Yeah.
Well, they've had a lot of communication and just internal turmoil because, and I hate to bring this in, but it's something we cannot overlook. As football fans. But Woody Johnson, for about 3.5 years, wasn't the owner or wasn't the acting owner because he was the ambassador to the UK. So he really wasn't knowing what was going on with his team. It was his brother that was running the daily operations.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, Rodgers is the coach killer. I mean, Green Bay, they're obviously a division rival. I'm not going to speak too nicely of them, but they were smart because Rodgers had major beef with Matt LaFleur. Like, I remember when LaFleur was first coaching there, and Rodgers was complaining, saying, he's trying to tell me how to run the huddle. Like, I'm a 10-year vet. I'm a Super Bowl champion. Like, I know more about football than he does. And the Packers extended Rodgers, but at the end of the day, they're like, yeah, you're getting a little too high on your horse there. We're going to move on from you. And the Jets are now having to deal with that same attitude where you see him push Salah on the sidelines and then go into the press conference and be like, oh, no, there was no harm, no foul there. It's like, we can see you guys. Like, you hate every coach you play for. You think you're higher than everybody.
And Rodgers also is starting to kind of hate the refs because if you notice at the end of our game, he was talking stuff to the ref. He was saying, well, that should have been a pass interference.
Right. Of course he's going to cry to the ref.
And I know a lot of the talking heads in the in sports media had said, where was the pass interference? I didn't see it.
No, there was none. You could argue there was offensive pass interference. There was a slight push off from the receiver. So, I mean, they were both a little handsy, but Gilmore, his head was turned towards the ball. He didn't grab the receiver's arms. There was no pass.
Overall, it was a very interesting week. Some Viking fans did get, featured on broadcast and have found some new fame. One of my friend, her name's Devin Burns. she was featured on NFL Network. They showed a little quick screen thing of her, and now she's blown up famous. So Devin, if you're watching this, I'm gonna need to get an autograph from you. Overall, I was not expecting the weather to come into play like it did towards the end of the game.
Right.
It was not. I don't think was it even predicted that there was going to be any type of rain.
I didn't bother looking. But yeah, it is really coming down there about halfway through.
I was starting to worry that that game would have been starting to be a turnover battle game.
Right. Which is as poorly as Chandler ran, credit to him for not coughing up the ball. So, because that, yeah, like you said, that could have easily been an issue.
Bend don't break. We bended,
right?
but we didn't break.
Well, and the Jets haven't really played any electrifying offenses outside of the 49ers week 1. But outside of us, they haven't given up over 20 points in a game through 4 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it was. So it's not an easy team to put up points against, especially when you're on the road. Like I was listening to the Power Trip yesterday, and they were talking about that time adjustment. In their brains, they're waking up at 4:30 in the morning to go play a game at 8:30 in the morning. And granted, it's 2 p.m., 3 p.m. London time, but they've only been there for a day and a half. Their body clock's not adjusted, and both sides, or not both sides, but both teams were sluggish. London's just a sloppy place to play.
Yeah, the Jags are there for this week, an away game with the Bears, and then their home game.
Right.
The thing now, I heard this. This is just a rumor, and those of you in the comments, if you've seen this, please let me know if this is true. I've heard that some teams, that the NFL is going to require some teams to play an away and a home game back-to-back weeks in London. I don't know if this is just a rumor or if they're trying to build momentum towards this. The London games, I wish they would do more than just London games, because there's so much that they could do. I know Munich and Frankfurt, they're going to be alternating games.
They did Brazil to the chagrin of that game.
Well, we'll see what the numbers were towards the end. Okay, so you did, Jay, you did hear that. Okay, so it wasn't just me seeing something made up by somebody. Okay, I honestly, it's going well for the Jags, but let's just leave it for the Jags, because they've built up a very solid fan base in London.
Well, so the thing about that, though, is if the team stays there for 2 weeks, that second week, they have a major advantage because they're obviously adjusted to the time at that point. They don't have to worry about the travel for that second game. So whoever that second team going out there is at a major disadvantage for that game. And then you'd almost have to give that team that's out there for 2 weeks the bye when they get back, because that'd be a little insane.
Now, this begs the question. I know I'm, 36. I still remember NFL Europe, but does this beg the question to bring back NFL Europe for the summer?
Just as like a G League type thing?
Kind of like an exhibition off-season league type of thing.
I don't think you'd see any meaningful players partake in an exhibition football over the summer and the off season.
It's gonna be interesting to see, because I know I've heard NFL has its sights set on Japan. They want to do an Australia game.
See, that's so crazy. That's a 24-hour flight from almost any city.
I've heard also Middle East and China that they want to expand to.
What they should do is just move the UFL to Europe and make the UFL the official expansion league of the NFL, have it be a supplemental league, but that could be their Euro football league as well.
Oh.
So that way you're not having to dip in from NFL talent. Their season's after the NFL season anyway. It kind of dips into, I think their quote Super Bowl is in June. Just move the UFL to Europe.
And that way, then we get NFL sort of 24/7 year round.
Yeah, I mean, I watch UFL. It's obviously not great product. It's basically 10 weeks of preseason football, but it's football.
I used to when the Arena League was really popular. I used to watch that during the summer and off season. Oh man, some of those hits are awesome.
Yeah, Minnesota, St. Paul was supposed to get a team, and they freaking took it away.
Folded after 3 games.
Right. Salty.
But it was very interesting. Just to
Facts,
watch
Joseph.
Arena.
I've been talking about the refs being full-time for a long time. I mean, obviously, a lot of people around the NFL have, but that needs to be priority number one.
You are starting to see a lot more generational refs or second-gen refs. Ed Hockey's son is now a ref in a pretty well-known ref in the NFL. I think his name is Sean Hockey.
Okay.
So you're starting to see the second wave of pretty well-known names come in, and I really like that.
Yeah. What's your take on them possibly moving the touchback to the 35 next year?
Ooh, that's actually a good topic. This kickoff thing has been abysmal.
So, have you seen the numbers though? They came out yesterday. The average return is about 6 yards more, and there's There's less touchbacks, and the returns have been longer. So it's a minor improvement, but it has technically been an improvement.
It has, but I don't think it's what the NFL has wanted to see.
Yeah, no.
Because I know Roger Goodell and a lot of people on the competition committees are looking at certain threshold marks and the TV numbers. It's going to be what the competition committee and Roger Goodell ultimately want.
Yeah.
And we don't see a lot of the kick returns for the touchdown anymore. I'd like to see that, but you're pretty much eliminating the special teams from the game.
Well, I think that's the intention of moving the touchback to the 35 is you'd be disincentivizing the kicker from just wanting to kick a ball out of the back of the end zone because then the other team is basically getting the ball damn near at midfield. So that would hopefully increase the amount of returns because there would be less touchbacks, hopefully. Or the other team just doesn't care. Like, whatever, we'll stop it at the 35.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm back.
Hello. Welcome back.
I lost power.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it was just for like 15, 20 seconds, but welcome to
Sam Darnold has been absolutely legitimate. Yes, he's got, he did miss 2 plays out of the many, but he has been doing very well.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Viking Twitter over the last week panicking about Sam Darnold, saying he's turning back into a pumpkin. I don't think anybody expected him to keep a 44 touchdown pace. That was obviously playing outside of his ability. But the 49ers, or not the 49ers, the Packers game, we had a 28-point lead. We didn't need him to throw the ball. We forced the run the second half. So our lack of driving, I'm not going to put on him. And when we needed to get a scoring drive at the end of the game, he produced a field goal scoring drive. And then the Jets, again, it's London, it's in the rain, it's against a very, very good defense. And I think his ribs were hurt. So I'm not going to poo-poo on the first 4 games and then focus on last week and say, like, oh, great, here we go. I think he'll bounce back nicely against Detroit next week.
I do need to give a week 5 tip of my horns. So I'm going to give my tip of my horns this week to former Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins. Over 500 yards passing. That's insane.
Right. Yeah, that's nutty.
I mean, yes, would I love to have them do it here? Absolutely. but 509 yards, no matter what team you're on, is literally crazy.
Well, I mean, he had the NFL's largest comeback against the Colts. The dude is a baller. He's just, again, historically had really bad defenses around him, so you haven't been able to see wins produced from those performances. But Kirk's always been slept on.
Yeah, and he's kind of starting to get a team around him. However, I do think parts of him, deep down where he doesn't want to say it at the press conference, misses JJ.
Oh, yeah. Who wouldn't?
Cousins over taking. If we took Cousins back over Darnold,
If he was getting paid $10 million a year, absolutely. But he's not, so no.
give him more incentive. Let's give him. Make him hungrier.
I don't know if you guys saw the tweet yesterday of the payroll between Kirk Cousins and Danielle Hunter being $69.5 million. And with that same payroll, we've been able to bring in Grenard, Van Ginkel, Cashman, Sam Darnold. I would take that group over Kirk Cousins right now 10 out of 10 times.
We are going to go
even Hunter. I loved Hunter, but dude, Van Ginkel and Grenard's got dude. He had I think 7 pressures in that Jets game. Now he never got home,
Yeah.
but he had 7 damn. I mean, that's if he averaged 7 pressures a season, he would break. I think what's the average is right on, or the most in a season is like 116 or something like that. Dude, there's no way. Like, and he's been like that all season, just in the quarterback in the backfield. Like, dude, Grenard has been insane.
Well, then
Grenard
look at Danielle Hunter.
has been good. He has been one of those diamonds in the rough.
Yeah. Well, look at Danielle Hunter. Through 5 weeks in Houston, he has 1.5 sacks. Patrick Jones has 5. I think
they both came in one game.
Yeah, I think it was one game, yeah.
So we are going to go to everyone's favorite subject right before we have to go to commercial. Hero and Zero. Matthew, let's start with you.
Zero and Hero. Oof. Hero's got to be Gilmore for getting the game-winning interception. That was absolutely clutch. Rodgers, a million times in his career, has absolutely daggered us with those types of late-game heroic drives. The Zero, I'm going to put on, unfortunately, Sam Darnold. Like, as much as I hype him up, it wasn't uncharacteristic. Well, I guess I shouldn't say uncharacteristically. It was a poor performance. Again, I think it was a good defense. It was in the rain. But if this team wants to have that late season success and that postseason success, he's got to be able to rise up a little bit better than that. But even then, he got the win, so it's not much of a zero.
Eric?
So, I just looked it up real quick. I just pulled it up. Grenard this season pressures. Week 1, 5. Week 2, 7. Week 3, 5. Week 4, 5. Week 5, 7. That's 29 pressures in 5 games. 4 sacks, 5 quarterback hits, and 20 hurries. Like, that's insane. That's insane. Yeah. So, of the total, basically 25 pressures and 4 sacks. Like, that's incredible. I just had to look that up real quick because, I mean, 5 plus pressures every game this season. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Right. That's crazy stat.
I hate to rag on the guy. And, my first initial thought of zero was another, like I did last week, was going to be Gilmore for both. But I hate to say this, Ingram. Ingram was god-awful. And I don't want to pick on the guy anymore. I hate it. I've been picking on the guy for the last 2 years, and I don't want to do it.
But he's earned it for the last really 2 years.
I know, but people always knock PFF, and I always say that PFF is just one more analytical tool to help you assess players. You can't use it freestanding. But man, he just can't. He just seems like to be in the way most of the time of the offense, not the defense. Hero.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Gink. As my stepson would say, Van Ginkosaurus. That's what he called him yesterday. It was hilarious. I never laughed, or not yesterday, Thursday. I never laughed so hard before my life. So I have a 12-year-old stepson who fell in love with the Vikings because Justin Jefferson was on Fortnite. But we were driving home yesterday or Thursday from where I took him out to work with me to check out the flooding, and he said he was watching YouTube clips, and he said, Van Ginkosaurus. And I'm like, I about fell over because that was great. That was so good. I think Van Ginkel is great. He just, the way he's so smart, absolutely so smart. He knows right where to be. He's done it over and over again. And even JJ McCarthy was jealous. He tweeted out that he X'd out or whatever you call it now, that he looked like he wishes he looked as good as Van Ginkel running with the ball. So I got to give it to Gink.
So I'm going to get mine in really quick. My 0 has to go with Sam Darnold because when he got hit in the ribs, it was a night and day difference. It looked like they found his off switch.
Yeah.
Hit it and ripped off the switch. After that, his numbers just tanked. Rip Van Winkle, Andrew Van Ginkel is going to be my hero because he's got 2 touchdowns this year on 2 interceptions. And that's more touchdowns than even some prominent offensive players in this league.
Right.
And he's been earning his pay every game. And you know what? I like him on this team. He has been a treasure. I got to meet him at the draft party, and holy crap. Not only is the dude tall, but he, when I looked into his eye, I was like, oh shit, he's hungry. And he got his eye set on that Lombardi trophy. Let's keep him long term.
Yeah, we got to extend him for sure.
Oh,
I love the dude. Dolphin fans really miss him, but I've heard a bunch of them say, they're cheering for him here. And they're saying that we have got a very good player. And Dolphin fans, if you're watching, thank you. He has been an absolute gem for this team. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't get a long-term deal. He's earned it.
Right.
So let's pay some bills, and we'll be back on the flip side of this 30-second commercial.
The Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villain Report, and Red Zone Rant. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla, Grosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and Maniacs. The nightly podcasts are Palace Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports. Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast, The Guys Huddle, Shots from the Sideline, Let's Talk Sports, The Michigan Truth Sports Podcast, Off the Rails. NFC Northeast, Power Hours, and Detroit Lions news, make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Hope you like all the shows.
And we're back. So, sorry, I thought it was going to be 30 seconds, but apparently it was a little bit more.
I want to address Jay real quick on Hawkinson, if that's okay. How can you say he's not good? I can get thinking that he might be a bit overrated, but to say he's not good is just inaccurate.
Hawkinson stepped up last year when JJ was hurt quite a lot, and he pretty much kept us from an even worse record.
Right. Well, then going back to the Giants game in the playoffs, he was the only one to put up over 100 yards. He was the only one to put up over 70 yards in that game. He had 120-plus yards. He was the only one on offense to show up. He's a stud.
Yeah, I'm going to be cautiously optimistic about his return. He just came off of, he's still coming off of ACL surgery. I'm going to be very intrigued to see what type of playing time he will be getting. He might ease back in to the game, and then they'll probably ramp him up to the time where we're going to have this. We have this very slow. Our next few games, we have Detroit. I know we have Indy in there. We've got Tennessee in there. This is going to be our weak stretch of the schedule just because of the quality.
Well, we got the Lions and then the Rams on a short week.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's the Thursday.
We play the Rams the Rams the following Thursday out coming right. So we get our bye, we get 2 real quick ones, then a short little mini bye, and then we're back in it again. So, and they don't have to actually put him on the 53 until I think the day after the Rams game. So they can ramp him up through all that. What Jay and Joseph are saying about him being cursed, injury-wise, maybe. But I think that what was exactly – and don't get me wrong, I love Oliver. Not a huge Munt fan. But I think that's what was missing in that Jets game and even the end of the Packers game was they were taking away everything deep. There was, Addison was starting to get shut down. Jefferson, they were just like in that Jets game. They were just now some of them pass interference calls. I'll give the Jets were ticky tacky, but they set a precedent. They started grabbing early, and the refs are going to start calling it. There was nothing like, and especially with Jones being out in the Packers game, there was nothing underneath in that mid range that 0 to 10 to 15 yard range. We weren't getting a lot, and even one guys we were watching the game with is like, can we not throw the ball short? Like, is there nothing? Like every shot seemed to be 15 to 30 yards down the field. It's like nothing was getting open underneath. And I think that's where Hawk's going to excel, like getting that 12-yard window. And now they have to adjust for him because he can be such a threat.
Just got to keep him away from Kirby Joseph.
No comment.
It's hard to stay healthy when dudes are diving at your knees.
Like I said, no comment.
If Jones is going to be okay, and when we get Hawk back to full strength, this offense is going to be unstoppable. Our defense have already stepped up and made some great plays. I give them credit of why they're 5-0 is because of our defense.
Yeah.
I mean,
legit.
We were grossly underrated against San Francisco, and yet we took a win. People were second guessing us against Houston, and we annihilated them.
I think that game against San Francisco would have looked even worse if Warner doesn't cause that fumble on the goal line at Jones. If he gets that's a huge blowout. That game's not even anywhere near as close as it looked on paper, like on the scoreboard. I mean, that made
it a 14-point swing.
Yeah, that's a huge. Yeah, exactly. And that game's not even close at all if that doesn't happen. So you're talking one play, 14-point difference, huge.
Right.
To a team that's supposed to go back to the Super Bowl,
And again, I see a lot of this. Oh, sorry.
San Francisco has bigger issues to worry about than the past. They need to worry about if they're going to get CMC back.
Ever.
That's not even an issue. Mason's been balling out. He's been an absolute stud in CMC's place, and he's been durable. I know he got a little bit banged up against the Seahawks on Thursday night, but he's been absolute. I think he leads the NFL in rushing yards since coming in after CMC's injury. So I think
Did Ayuk get his deal?
Oh, yeah. Yep. So he's getting paid. He's been underproductive since getting paid. He's only had one good week all season. But, I mean, when we played him, I keep seeing people say, like, oh, we've had a cupcake schedule because San Fran was hurt when we played him. All they were missing was CMC. And, again, show me a game outside of ours where Mason hasn't been a very productive running back. And we were missing Addison and Hawkinson in that game. So I don't want to hear the 49ers have been hurt. But, no, Mason's been really good.
Mason's going to get a payday, I believe, because and I'm going to say this about some of our opposing teams that we have played. Mason has been a good player, and he's been their Adam Thielen. He's stepped up brilliantly in the face of injury. Our record going to be at midseason. We are not going to go undefeated. Let's just get that clear. I do see us having a loss. It might come against Detroit. I don't know. But week 9 is going to be quote unquote mid-season for the NFL. God, it just feels like we started yesterday and it's already come
honestly.
mid-season.
Seriously.
But I do see us around the 8-win mark.
8 wins?
Tennessee. Yeah, Eric.
Oh, at mid-season. Gotcha.
Mid-season. Yeah.
I was like, what? Don't do that to me.
The bottom totally falls out.
We're going to be around the 8-win mark. Our end of season, I had said to one of my friends also in the BWA.
No way, Joseph.
I feel that if we, and I told them, and I said, if we, somehow escape with these wins early season, then we could go 10-5. I'm going to revise that to maybe 11-4 at the end of the. Sorry, not 11-4. Oh my God! Sorry, I didn't have my coffee.
We cut 2 games or a couple games off the season now.
We're so good. They just gave us a few bye weeks.
Yep.
Well, isn't that what Jacksonville and Tennessee are?
But yeah.
No, I ain't gonna say that because I'm gonna be at both them games, so I ain't saying that.
Yeah, I think honestly,
those are the games that scare me the most.
Those road trap games.
Yeah, because I was just looking at it. You go into Jacksonville, go into Tennessee, and then go to Chicago. 3 road games, ending in Chicago.
I have a feeling we could go 14-3.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold has been just a baller with a capital baller for us.
So here's my question to you guys: is the draft deadline looms? Do we go out and make a big splash deal? We don't have much draft capital to do it. What?
I have 2 answers to that.
Okay, I want to hear this.
I think we won't because of our lack of draft capital. But I think that if we can get, like, I keep seeing Dexter Lawrence float around. Now, the Giants are playing better the last few weeks, so they're probably not going to be so eager to get rid of him. But if you can get a player of that level for your first rounder, he's only 26. He's been an absolute unit every season he's played. Then I think you go out and you say F that first round pick because you know you're getting a guaranteed absolute unit. It was a lot harder of a question at the beginning of the season because we were flirting with getting a top 5, top 10 overall pick. No one wants to give that up. But as of right now, our pick's going to be in the mid to late 20s. You're not getting Dexter Lawrence in the mid to 8 20s. So I think that if Kwesi could find a partner for a player like that, I think we do it. But I don't think that someone's going to be willing to give up that level of a player.
Yeah, because I was leaning more towards like a Jeffrey Simmons. Might not cost as much. There's a guy, like I was looking even a couple offensive linemen, like not great. Throatholt from Arizona. And there's a guy from the Jets. I can't think of his name now. Oh, Tippmann. Played at Wisconsin. Guard center. They both can play guard, play center. Long-term replacement for Bradbury, short-term replacement for Ingram. It's not splashy. It's not outrageous. Or do we go after maybe like a Ramondre Stevenson from the Patriots as another running back?
Yeah, they floated Breece Hall's name because the Jets are struggling right now. Braylon Allen's getting a lot of touches and looks really good there. If Jones is going to miss a significant amount of time, you could probably get Breece Hall for, a high 2026, maybe give him like a second or a third 2026 and see if they bite.
I was thinking somebody in there like early to mid, like 24, 25. Like I says, Joseph says depends on Jones' injury. Yeah, but Jones is on a 1-year deal too.
Right.
We get somebody in here like a Ramondre Stevenson or, a Hall who we can sign to a 3-4 year deal. You still have Jones for the rest of the season. And now you're looking at maybe a comp pick if he doesn't want to stay. We got to look at because a lot of these guys we signed are 1-year deals. Darnold's on a 1 year. Jones is on a 1 year. It's
Gilmore.
As good as we look, we got a lot of short-term people.
Yeah. Yeah, I also saw a hypothetical giving up a 6th for Amari Cooper because the Browns got him for a 5th, and they're not really doing anything. His value is not going to go up. And so you can go in and get Amari Cooper and get a really, really good number 3 receiver. Not that Naylor hasn't been good, but he's not Amari Cooper. So I wouldn't mind a deal like that. Just keep giving Darnold all the weapons in the world.
Yeah, but it makes me nervous because we dealt away. I can't. Oh my gosh, guard.
From last year.
Yeah.
The
offensive guard to Jacksonville.
Ezra Cleveland.
Thank you. And he's playing top 10, top 15 style guard play right now. Like,
is he really?
He is. Yeah. Oh, I think in PFF he's like 15th or 16th ranked at guard.
Goodness.
Yeah, and he like Brandel started out really hot, and he's still doing okay, but he's not like he was the first couple of weeks. Looking back now, was that Cleveland deal a bad, or trading Ezra Cleveland a bad deal? Maybe not, but he's playing extremely well in Jacksonville for as shitty as that team is.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, I just looked up some of the trade stuff and Vikings territory. This writer named Dustin Baker.
Oh, I know that guy's name.
Oh yeah.
This dude thinks we would give up a 6th or a 7th rounder to trade to Carolina to get back Adam Thielen.
That'd be great. I'd do that in a heartbeat.
He's on IR.
He's on the IR.
Yeah, but you still get him for the last 6 games of the season. Potential playoff push.
Yeah, I seen
I
one
mean-
guy who was like talking about like his criteria was giving up the 25 first round pick, like J.C. Horn from Carolina, Dexter Lawrence wasn't one of his, but there was a couple guys he had listed. But I was like, J.C. Horn strikes me as someone we could probably make a deal with, although they just picked up his 5th-year option. But man, he would be a huge add to the secondary. It's
Yeah.
what are we willing to like? Not having that second round is really going to be awful for trying to do something at the trade deadline. But do we try to move somebody and make like a 3-way type trade thing?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. I don't hate Dustin Baker, but recommending Adam Smith come back. Yes, I'd love to see him back because this is where he got his name. This is where he was born and raised.
Right.
However, having him on the team, there's a reason why we cut him. There's a reason why we didn't extend him.
Well, it's money.
Yes.
According to him and his wife, they never even offered them anything. Like his wife said on Twitter, the Vikings never even offered them anything to stay.
That's
like
interesting.
There was no offer on the table whatsoever.
There, fan favorites, of his age don't win us games. Yes, they might sell merchandise, but merchandise sales don't win games. And we want to become a much younger team. And there is reasons why we do what we have done. We got to focus on the biggest issue, which is, I'm gonna kind of hate to be the irony here, but our Achilles heel is our run game. We need to do something about that. Ramondre Stevenson or Breece Hall, those are the only two I see us trying to get.
Etienne's a name I've seen floated around as well, but
and
the next thing I want
to floated around.
Yeah. The next thing I want to say too. Oops, sorry.
The guy that was talking about J.C. Horn also said Etienne.
Really, Etienne?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo.
But the next thing I want to say kind of goes back to Jay's earlier comment of, is this a make or break season for the Vikings? I don't think it is. We've talked about every week now that we have $55-65 million in cap space next year. So these players that are on 1-year deals, if they finish the season strong and healthy, there's no reason why we can't bring them back for another year or two to keep them here. But we also have $55-65 million to go out and get those mid-20s players that are still really, really good that we normally couldn't afford. We couldn't afford to even make an offer to Antoine Winfield Jr. because he's getting paid top safety money. Next year we'll have the ability to bring those types of free agents in. And obviously we're betting on McCarthy to be better than Sam Darnold. So I think this is really an appetizer of what a full Vikings team is going to be built into next year. Like, we're outplaying our expectations. I think next year is going to be a real, true Super Bowl contending level roster.
So as it's standing right now with carryover money, we're going to have $76 million, just barely over 76. I do think we're going to make a big splash in the free agent market next year.
I mean, we gotta look at guys like Bynum's in a contract year, Patrick Jones in a contract year. Like, do we want to keep some of these homegrown guys as well? Like Bynum, man, it's hard to let him walk.
He's not going anywhere. We're going to pay him, but players like that, they're good. But I think those types of players also know I'm not getting top 3 money at this position. So I think we'll get him at a quote discount at maybe paying him around top 10. But I mean, luckily he's a safety, and top 10 for safety is 12 to 13 million. So it's not going to break the bank to keep a player like that.
Yeah. Bynum is a guy that I'm going to say we resigned right off the bat.
Yeah, he's staying.
Dude, he's making a name for himself with the celebrations. Like, he was on up in Adams with Kay Adam, and that's all she wanted to talk about was his celebration stuff. Like, dude, he nailed that freaking Parent Trap celebration with Metellus. Like,
right.
He said I do it backwards. I'm more proud of my celebrations because the more celebrations I get to do, the better the defense is playing and the more games we win. Like, it's not like the more games we win, the better defense is playing, so I get to do more celebrations. He's like, no, the more celebrations I get to do. I was like, that's funny. That's pretty funny. But, yeah, with the attitude, during that interview, he said, we are having fun. He said that's something that, like, even last year with Flores, they weren't having – it's not that they weren't having fun, but they just didn't know Flores. And, he has the defense over to his house all the time for, like, cookouts and, like, gatherings.
I love that. I love that story. That was really cool.
And he's encouraging them to do the celebrations now. So I think they understand each other, and the guys are playing like they love what he wants. Like, basically, he's giving them, like, option routes, on defense. If this happens, do this. If this happens, do this. And they're having fun with it. And I think the players are just playing up to that.
I have a quick question, and, I'm going to get it quick because we're almost out of time. Harry, we all know Harry the Hitman's in his 12th year with us. Is he going to retire after the end of the season? Eric?
I thought he already said as much.
He hinted, I think, at it. And, like, that's a great question, because I think what Matthew was saying is he either hinted at it or pretty much danced around that he was going to. But if they're having this much fun and playing this well, man, he may try to go another one. Like, the video of him and Harrison Phillips in London with their little bowler hats on and the time watch and the trench coats, that was freaking priceless. Like, the two Harrisons just played that up fantastic. Like, man. And he's playing, like, I don't want to, but he's doing everything right this year. Like,
he's playing really well.
Matthew, what do you think? Is he gone, or is he going to try to go one more?
So Eric just kind of changed my opinion. I was going to say he's gonzo, and that he basically said as much, that this is going to be his final year. But at the same time, winning changes everything. I don't think, like, any of us thought that we were going to be winning this many games this season. So he's like, yeah, I'll come back because it's my team and I love the Vikings. If we make a deep playoff run, I guess he might be like, hey, like, there's something here. I really feel like next year we can really be on the Cups. Then, yeah, he might come back for another year.
I'm going to say this, and he may pull a Ray Lewis. If we win the Super Bowl, I see him riding off into the sunset. Also, it was an Andrew Whitworth.
Yep. That I could see too. That I could see too.
If we lose in the Super Bowl, he will have a big chip on his shoulder and will want to come back because he will be extremely hungry.
Even if we make a deep playoff run, he'll be like, man, we were almost there. Do I come back again? Like, Metellus is playing out of his mind. Bynum's playing great. Then you have Smith playing good. And Theo Jackson's not awful as a fourth safety in that group. Like, he is not terrible. Like, man, that's a deep safety room. I mean,
right.
God, it's
hard.
Now that's when a Viking.
Oh man,
that's something else.
Jay just daggers it.
Seriously, yeah.
It's
okay, Jay.
On the Valhalla. Oh my gosh. Dude, Jay, thanks for making me laugh. That was great.
He is getting old. Well, our bye week is here. Next week we will be back with our normal show, and then in 2 weeks we are going to be having to recap 2 weeks worth of gameplay.
Right.
That's going to be a tall task.
God, we can barely fit the bye week into an hour. Think about it.
Right.
So much. I'll petition the network for a 2-hour.
Yeah, I'm shocked we had this fluid of a discussion. This is a fun show.
It was good, guys.
Thank you. 56 viewers. Thank you very much for coming on.
Whoa, double digits.
Let's go.
Let's go. Thank you very much.
All right. Lose Detroit, lose Chicago, lose Green Bay. Let's get this division lead even stronger. Boo all of you.
And lose Kansas. Who's Kansas City playing? They can lose.
The
too.
Jets.
Oh, God, they're going to win. Never mind.
That first time coach, though, that first week after an interim coach, they usually have the spark. So we'll see.
They do.
Catch
Although
you guys
Rodgers
later.
is just
All right.